The lab environment that we're going to focus on is going to give us an opportunity to see quite a few different things displayed, as well as to see some of the interfaces that might be connected to a variety of different technologies. Now, the center point of the network that we're going to focus on are the 2800 series routers and the 3800 series routers. The objective is that since both of these devices do have slightly different interfaces and are going to be accessed just a little bit different, even though the operating system is exactly the same, it will give us an opportunity to see the way multiple Cisco router devices are going to be configured. I currently have the Cisco lab environment set up such that I have varying connections on my 3800 router, including a couple of 100 megabits per second Ethernet connections using unshielded twisted pair, one of which that connects over to an 1800 series router, which is a smaller lower end router. This typically is used for the small branch office or the home office. I also have a 100 megabits per second connection, which is connected directly to a pair of 2960 switches. These switches are utilizing fast Ethernet and do have a couple hosts plugged into them. We will have an opportunity to verify connectivity and see several things that we get into, some of our discovery protocols. In addition, we have the 2800 series router, currently using a serial connection, which is frame relay, that is currently not yet configured, but will be shown in many of our show run configurations, that will allow us to see how a serial LAN connection is going to look anytime we're dealing with the running configuration of a router. On our 2800 router, it is actually a 100 megabits per second router, so we're going to be dealing with slightly different interface commands. That's the reason why we have multiple routers in the left, so that we can get used to some of the differences. The 2800 router is connected to two different segments, one of which is a local 100 megabits per second Ethernet segment, and the other of which will be a 2 megabits per second serial point-to-point connection. Both of these interfaces will be used in examples so that you can kind of get familiar with the difference between both LAN and WAN interfaces on Cisco routers. The ultimate objective of our lab environment is to make sure that you can gain a good basic foundational understanding of the way that these Cisco devices are going to be configured. Now, we're not going to be getting into very advanced configurations, but we are going to be focusing a lot in the lab environment on the things that you would do on every router. Every time you pull a router, rather the box, you plug it into your network with the appropriate cabling types. You're going to be executing certain functions on that device, and that is the objective of our lab environment. It's to make sure that we have got the proper connections to do so. We'll be able to gain access to these devices, take a look at their configuration, look at their boot processes, and look at the basic config, all the way from security and identification to remotely accessing these devices using commands like telnet. Even discovering the neighboring devices using a very special protocol, which is known as the Cisco Discovery Protocol. But really the key here is having the live equipment to work with. I would recommend that if you can get your hands on live equipment for the purposes of practice, it's going to make you even better prepared for your endeavor to become a CCNA.